Now, if you're watching this video, you probably went to the Framer marketplace and found a really nice template that you like. Obviously, there are a bunch of different templates that you can find in the marketplace. So in today's video, what I really want to do is I just want to go step by step and use some type of paid template in the Framer marketplace and really show you, guide you through the process of how to edit the different sections so that you're not afraid of breaking the template or having to restart from scratch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. And by the way, before we get started, I'd love to invite you guys to my Discord community. We are a bunch of different startup founders, designers, developers from all around the world. And we get together every single weekday to talk about different tools, different topics, different challenges in our life. So if you guys are interested in these calls, feel free to join. The link is down in the description below. And for today's video, I'm going to be choosing the Momentous template by the Temlis team. And a very important thing to be aware of when choosing a template is looking at the profile of the template creator. In this case, Temlis has around 14 templates that have been approved in the Framer marketplace. And the reason why it's important to view the creators of these templates is because sometimes there are creators that only have 1 or 2 templates in the marketplace. They might look good, but they're going to be very difficult to kind of manage in the back end inside of Framer. But when you find a creator like this that has a bunch of high quality templates, the process of editing the template is going to be much easier, trust me. And even if you can't figure out how to properly edit your own template in the Framer marketplace, you can even go to Temlis, which is the creator of my specific template that I'm going to be using for today's video, and basically get a customization service from them where they handle all of the edits based on your brand. They handle the SEO, and then also obviously a template is included in this service. And I think the best part of it all is that you'll get your finished website done in only 5 days. And what's great is that if you go into these creators' websites, they even have more templates. So you can go and check out all of the different templates that they have. There's a bunch of different templates from different industries, right? You have environment, food and drink, government, HR and hiring, and so on and so forth. And all of these different templates not only have the actual Framer file, but they also have the Figma file as well. So you can download that Figma file and basically make the changes over there and then eventually bring in those changes into Framer. Plus, they even have an all-access plan where users can get more than 125 templates for just one single price, including Framer templates, Figma templates, and Webflow templates. Now, going back to the actual template page, what you want to do, obviously, purchase a template, and then you're going to land in some type of checkout page just like this. And once you finish out the payment, you're going to get an email with a specific link. This link is called a remix link inside of Framer, and it's basically just like a duplicate of that project. And once you click on that link, you're going to get a view just like this, right? This is the name of the project, Momentous by Temlis Templates. I'm going to go ahead and click on copy. Now, once you open your project just like this, you're going to see there are a few getting started steps that you have to kind of do at the beginning. Now, the first thing that you want to do is just press on this preview button, and you want to see how the website looks like once it's on preview. As you can see, we have this little section down here, and that's the kind of the first thing that we want to delete. But let's just go down and kind of review everything. Okay. So this is like a yoga community website. And let's say that we want to change this to a certain type of service business, like let's say it's some type of design consultation service. So we're obviously going to have to change all of these different images, right? We're not going to have yoga girls here. We're going to have, different types of a different team, right? With better dressed or whatever. But this is the first step, just to kind of scroll through everything and see if you like everything. Now let's go ahead and delete this, right? If I were to click on this, I can't really delete it. And why is that? That's because this is tied to the Navbar. So if I were to click on this, I can just double click, and then it takes me to this layout template view. And essentially what the layout template is it's a template where you can basically add things that are repetitive throughout different pages. And this is one of the requirements of having a template inside of the template marketplace. You have to have this layout template applied to your site. And as you can see, Temlis did a really great job in making everything organized here on the side. There's not a bunch of chaotic layers over here. It's just very, very simple. And so we have the footer, and over here we have this Temlis component. We can just go ahead and delete that, and we go back home. And as you can see, it is now gone. If I press on the play button, we have this intro section, and now that little thing on the bottom right is gone. Now, the next most important thing to see here are the pages. So you have, different types of pages, and you might want to rename certain pages or kind of structure them differently. In this case, let's start renaming the different pages. In this case, instead of trainer, it's going to be team. Instead of blog, it's going to be articles, for example. And then we can leave these the same. But as you can see, we can rename this by right-clicking and doing rename, but it's not really going to change. You see the slug, right? We're going to have to go up here to the CMS, and this is where you can rename this collection name. So here we can go, instead of trainers, we put team. Let's just put team, right? Go ahead, and this is the team. So now when we go back, we have team. So now that we got that first part done, that's great. So let's go ahead and start editing the different content that we see here. So there's a few different things that you have to keep in mind. First thing is that what we saw before, we have this layout template where we have the footer and the navbar, and this is where you can edit these two. And then outside in the home, this is where you edit all of the other sections that you have in your page. And as you hover over different things, you see that there are different colors. For example, this is blue. This is also blue over here. But in certain sections like this, if I hover over this, I can't really select anything. It's because this is purple. And the reason why it is purple is because it's a component, and components are things that you can repeat in different other sites. So in order to edit something like this, we can just double click and say, we can just edit the text as easily as that. But when it comes to these components, you want to double click, and then it takes you into the component area. As you can see, services component, that's the name of this particular service. And here, this is where you can basically edit the text and so on and so forth. And sometimes there's even nested components inside of particular components. Like for example, this service card is a nested component nested inside of this services component. So I can just double click again, and I can now edit the content of this particular card. But as you can see, these cards seem to be the same. And as you can see on the left, by the way, the left side panel is your best friend when it comes to Framer. They all have the same name. That means that they are all using the same component. So as you can see, if I double click, we have this dark variant of this component, and we have this light variant. So this one is using the light variant, and this one the dark variant. And it's important to keep in mind that whenever there's a component like this, where you repeat it a lot, like a certain card, for example, you edit the information of that card on the bottom right. So for example, here, instead of beginner classes, we can just put like, services, for example. And as you can see, it syncs up there, and I go back home, and it syncs up to the actual whole website. All in all, it's just very important that you check out the different layers. So we have the hero, we have this discover one right under the hero. And if I were to open the discover, we have a container with 3 different other types of containers. So we have this text container, for example, we have the data item one that's at the bottom, and we have this image one, which contains these 3 images. So if I were to select this and select this text, I can also edit the text over here, right? I can just say, for example, this is my new website, period. Click outside, the text is here. I can click on this item, this layout, this layer over here, and edit the different data over here. So the end number can be, for example, 10. Then I can select the next one, and end number can be 5, for example, instead of 1.8. Here it can be like 8 or 9.9. And then if I just go press play and wait for this to load, we can just go ahead and see this. And that's the next thing, the loading screen. You don't really see it, and that's okay. You don't have to see it. You just have to know where to edit it. And that's where, layers come in handy. Obviously, like I said before, layers are your best friend inside of Framer. So you want to just select this, right click, and then you can just click on edit over here. And that takes you to this specific layer component where you can basically just edit out or edit the images of this, right? So we have card 1, card 2, card 3, and then 2 illustrations. So these are the 2 illustrations, and those are the 3 images. Now, how can we edit images inside of Framer? So just go ahead, select one card, and here we have the fill. So for example, we can select this, and you can add your own images from your computer. Just make sure that the images are less than 1 MB in terms of size, or you can use plugins. In this case, I'm just going to use a plugin like Unsplash, and here in Unsplash, you can get, some type of other type of image like this. We can select the other one, and we can get another one, and then we select image 3, which would be on the top, and select another type of like office image like this. And I go home, press play, and now we have these different images that are loading. And then we have this video section over here. If I were just to click on this stack, you want to open the stack and look for the actual video that plays in the beginning. Right now, they're using a type of URL to show their video. You could upload a video. Again, try to keep the size smaller. It's recommended to use some type of video URL as you're hosting the video elsewhere and not inside of Framer. So I, for example, can just put some type of random video here. Just click on this video layer again and paste in a new video URL. And as you can see, I have a new video. So if I were to just press play and wait for this to load, I have a new video that's here. Now, what you can also do, obviously, is instead of having a video, use some type of image, right? That's also a possibility. So we can go here and go on the stack on top of the video, delete this video, and we can go on the stack and look for some type of image fill. So plugins, Unsplash, and let's search for office, right? Maybe this one. And as you can see, obviously we'd have to choose one that has like a darker contrast. But if I press play, it loads up with the same type of animation, just with an image. So for example, I'm going to use this. The only thing that I really have to do is kind of edit the navbar. And something curious about this is that if I press play, we have one type of navbar. And then when I scroll down, we have another type of navbar. So we have two different types of navbars that we have to edit. We have one, both are very beautiful, obviously. And we have the second one that's down here. So in order to do that, again, just double click on the navbar on top since it's a layout template. And then we have this navbar and this navbar, right? So you want to basically go ahead and right click, edit, and here you have the two different types of variants. And in order to edit the content here, what you can do is just double click on the logo. And by the way, this is going to change throughout your whole website since it's a logo component. So they're using this logo component in the different footers, right? In the different pages, and maybe in the contact section where you have your logo. That's the whole point of a component, so that it's repetitive throughout your site. And here's where you basically upload an image of your own logo. You can upload like a white version and you can upload a dark version. And if you want to edit the content of this specific menu that opens, right, when you click on it, you don't see the open version anywhere else. So you'd have to double click again since it's another component. And then here you see the closed version and the open version. A very important thing to keep in mind when it comes to editing components is that whenever you have a component that has the same text, for example, you have this trainers here, you have this trainers here, and as you can see when I highlight it, it also highlights this one. It's very important to change the text in the primary variant of that component. Meaning, if I wanted to change this text to trainers, from trainers to team, I would have to do that here. And how do I do that since it's invisible? Well, this is existing inside of this, but it's invisible, right? So just click on the primary variant over here, and then open the layers panel on the left and navigate yourself to where you find the specific layer with this trainers word. And if I just go here, I click on this, it highlights. So now what I have to do is just say team, click outside, and it updates everywhere, right? So I don't have to manually update it everywhere. It's gonna automatically do it by itself. So that's actually the best way of editing text throughout all of your different component variants, by doing it in the primary variant. So now that we have that done, we can go back into our layout template, and we want to make sure that we have our trainers down here changed to team. So again, this is the primary one. Let's go ahead and change this to team. And now it has changed in the tablet version and in the mobile version as well. So that was it about replacing the content inside of your website. So now the next step is to go to CMS. So now you might be, easily changing different types of text over here. You might be changing the images very easily, and you might go down to the next section. Everything looks good, right? But then there comes one section like this one where you double click and you try to edit the images and the names of the different team members, but that's not really working. And if I double click again, nothing really happens. Now, over here on the left side, again, the layers are your best friend. Inside of Framer, we have this little icon that kind of looks like stacked coins. Now, we've seen this icon before, and that icon represents CMS. Now, what's great about these templates, especially this one that I'm using, everything is basically already organized for you, and all you have to do is just manage it inside of the CMS. What does that mean? We go up here and we see that this is teams, right? So we go up here and we have our different team members. And think of it as a very smart Google Sheet that is integrated inside of Framer. And these are the different team members, right? We have Lucia Petrova, we have Anya Kowalska, Katarina Lund, and etc. And in order to edit these people, right, we have to go into the CMS, click on one of these. Instead of Lucia Petrova, let's just put, my name, right? And then we have to change the slug. We have to change it to Lucas Marjorie, like this. I'm going to show you in a second why we have to change the slug. And then here's where you can basically, change the profile picture, right? We have this one, which is from the template itself. But if we click on it, we can again change it. So in this case, I'm just going to use another type of person over here. And then if I go back, you're going to start seeing the changes, right? My name, the image, but we didn't really change this yet, but you get the deal, right? You have to edit all the different fields there. And the reason why I said that it's important to keep the slug like correct with the name of the actual person or of the actual blog post is that if we go back to the pages and we go to this team page, right? This is the team page for Lucas. And it's automatically, all the stuff is going to automatically populate. I'm going to show you in a second what I mean once we're done with that team section. But basically we have Lucas, right? And we have Lucas Marjorie. So if I were to publish this website, it would be mywebsite.com/team/Lucas Marjorie. And going back to the home, as you can see, it is already published here. And once we start editing these different images, you're going to start seeing that they're going to populate inside of that different page, right? If I were to just put different images over here, I would put CFO, for example, over here. And then we have different descriptions, right? We have description service. We have these different descriptions over here. And if I go back and again into pages and to the team page, you can see that every single kind of item inside of one row connects to one of these sections inside of this page. So each page over here, these are all the different team members. All of them are going to have unique content, unique text, and everything is going to be unique, and it's all managed inside of the actual CMS settings over here. And the same thing with the blog, right? We have different types of blog posts that are also inside of our CMS over here. And if I were to, change this to a different title, change this to a different tag, to a different summary, all of that would basically get synced into these different areas. And what's cool about Framer is that you can also just double click here and edit the title over here. This is actually a very new feature that just came out like a month or two ago. So you can put like CFO, for example, and then go back into CMS. And as you can see, it gets synced in there directly. So that's actually a very practical visual way of doing it. And when you select over different things, you can see that this is, connected to the blog overview item of that CMS row. This is connected to the blog image. This is the blog description, the blog title, and the same thing with the team. We have the specific team title, team description. We have, this thing over here, which is actually not tied to anything, but this is tied to the team description service. And then here, team comment 1, team comment 2, team comment 3, and so on and so forth. Now, in particular templates, you might want to add more pages, for example. So for example, let's say that you have the services page, but you want to add an additional about page. So what you can do is instead of adding a new page from scratch, so if I do that, we just get the layout template and we don't even get the different breakpoints, right? We can just delete this. And then what we can do is just select a page that you think would have a similar structure. For example, the services page. And then you can just duplicate the page, double click over here, type about, and then we can start editing our content, right? About content, and editing this editing this, and so on and so forth. And also, since Framer is a very visual tool, you can easily adjust certain sections, certain layouts of the different sections. So for example, let's say that in the homepage, you want to have a button down here. And right now, if I just press play, we have this intro and we have this nice thing, but it's missing a button. I want a nice white button. What I can do is I can just go somewhere where we can find the white button, like here, click on this, Command C, right? Copy this button, and then go over here and select the parent container. You don't want to select the text. You want to select the parent container. For example, this, right? Again, layers the best friend. Click on paste, and then just make sure that the button is inside of this particular layer. As you can see, here it is. And then you can just edit the button text, which is, for example, discover or book a call, right? Book a call. Click outside and it's updated. And in order to edit the actual link of a specific button, there's a few things that you can do, right? You can link to a specific page just by clicking on this. So you can just click on a specific page, for example, like the about page, or you can just paste a URL, for example, to google.com. Now, if I press play and wait for this to load, I can click on book call and it opens Google. And for example, if I wanted to book the call and click on it, and then it links to this specific section down here, which is the contact section over here, what we can do is we can select this and create a scroll section. And we can call this contact, for example. Right? Make sure you save that. Then go up here and select this button and remove this link. Choose the home page, right? Because you're in the home page, and then section, you want the contact section, right? You're just going to select it from the selector, contact, and then we can press play. And I click on book call and it takes me to that contact section. All right, so now once you are ready, once you feel like you have all the different pages, you have all of the different sections set up with your own content, and you feel like you're ready to publish, it's very, very important to just go around and look at all of the different breakpoints, go from the, every single breakpoint, every single section to see if it's exactly how you want it to look like. And then you want to go up here to your site settings. So I'm just going to click on this button up here. And you're going to want to edit the site title of your project. You want to edit the site description of your project. You want to include a favicon for light mode and for dark mode, and a social preview. So if you want to, send the URL of your project to someone via text message, for example, they get a nice social preview image of your website. And what I think is also important to have is you can go here to each individual page and have your own site title. For example, this team page has its own site title. You'd want to change that to your own site title. For example, here as well. And so all of these different pages have their own site titles, and you just want to make sure that each one is kind of unique and has even their own social preview that might even help with SEO, for example. And then the next step obviously would be to choose a plan. For example, with a website like this, the mini plan wouldn't work because you can't have a CMS and you can only have 2 pages. But for something like this, where there's only 2 CMS collections, you have less than 1,000 pages, a basic plan would work, or a pro plan, right? A pro plan, you can add even more CMS collections. Let's say you want to have CMS collections for your services, CMS collection for not only your team, but also for your clients, for example. Then you can get your hands dirty by using the pro version over here. And once you decide on a plan, you could create a custom free Framer subdomain. So it would be like my business. I don't know if this is taken, but maybe it is. Yeah, my business 100425, right? Click on save. But obviously, once you're ready to connect it to your own domain, just remove this, right? And then you connect your own domain. And for example, this is just one domain that I connected. Basically, you're going to give you 3 different records, 2 A types and 1 C name. And all you have to do is go into your DNS settings and add an A type, add the name, add the value. You have to do these 2 A types and 1 C name. And then you just refresh it and you'll see your website in about like 1 to 5 minutes live with this custom domain. And then you can just continue on, editing your site, managing your site, adding new pages, deleting certain pages, and so on and so forth. You just have to go up here, click on publish, update that button. Once you click on the update button, it updates to the actual published domain. But here in Framer, this is where you basically have kind of the overview of all of your different pages. You can easily just edit it and then just update and update whenever you want. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it from my side. Hope you all enjoyed today's video. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think. If you have any other questions regarding downloading a specific type of custom template. Again, it's very important to choose a template that's very easy to manage. That's why I chose this one. And by the way, I have the link to this specific template down in the description below. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you next time very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.